Let's start with a bit of common sense. You have a goal. Let's call it retirement. There are several risks to you achieving that. One, the one that gets most of the attention, is the investment risk. Do your portfolios go up and down, or do they go up enough? Savings risk is perhaps a more important risk. Do you start saving enough early enough in life? You also have inflation risk. What happens if inflation takes hold of your portfolio and your purchasing power is different than what you thought it would be? You also have this wonderful thing called longevity risk. How long are you going to live? And that becomes a very important ingredient in the formula. And last but not least, you have event risk. Things happen that we don't foresee, and they sometimes have financial impacts. So what we're going to do is we're going to be able to help you formulate a plan, hopefully with a financial planner, but if not, on your own, so that you can address all of those risks along the road to meeting your goal. Let's talk a little bit about the way it used to be when you were facing retirement. Actually, probably when your parents were facing retirement. You would have worked till you were about 65 years old. You would have had a further life expectancy of about 5 years. You would have had a defined benefit plan, so you had some guaranteed income from your employer. You would have been told during your savings life that it was important to start out with a lot of your portfolio in high-risk securities such as equities, and as you approached retirement age, to put them into bonds or fixed interest, or gilts, if you will. That was the conventional wisdom. 7IM's role in life is to challenge conventional wisdom from time to time. So we conducted a study to see whether or not that was actually a good thing to do. And as you can see, it turned out that in the conventional wisdom, where you started out with 80% of equities, and at retirement date wound up with only 20% of equities and 80% of fixed, you got an okay result. And then we said, what happens if it was 50-50 all the way through, and you got a marginally better result? And then we did the unthinkable. We said, suppose you put the risk in your portfolio close to retirement, and it turns out that for 100 different studies of 40 years each, it turned out that the unthinkable gave the better result. In one generation, we seem to have turned logic upside down. So now, as you approach retirement, as your parents did, you're going to come to different conclusions because you're going to be facing different facts. Your life expectancy, for starters, is going to be about 14 years longer. You're also looking at an event, a corporate event, which has changed the way pensions are run. So most of us are not going to have a defined benefit plan anymore, so we're not going to have a guaranteed income. In addition, the government has now changed the legislation so that annuity purchase is no longer required at age 75. And if you'll remember what we just said a couple of moments ago about the conventional wisdom of moving people into gilts as they approach retirement, you must now take into account what quantitative easing has done to the bond markets. We have the lowest yields that we have had in 200 years. And they are likely to normalize at some point. Normalize means the yields go up. And if yields go up in the bond market, then the prices go down. They have an inverse relationship. So what we're saying now is that you're going to live longer, you no longer have the guarantees, and you have a distorted fixed income market. You're going to need to take a different approach. Which is the greater risk to your goal for your retirement? Is it to take investment risk or not to take investment risk? If you look at the chart that is on your screen right now, you can see what the average returns would be for somebody who invested in a moderately cautious risk profile. The apex being when they retired, and then you can see what happens as they gradually spend the money toward the end of their life expectancy. If that same customer was to take a little bit more risk, let's call it a balanced profile, so not even a wildly aggressive one, you can see how much better the investment returns are likely to be over the course of time. And that's very important. You need to have a longer time frame for these scenarios to play out. This doesn't necessarily play out over a 1 or 2 year time frame. The next slide simply tells you that an average outcome for moderately cautious is about the same as one of the lower ranges of expected outcomes for the balanced. It's telling you that over long periods of time, it is prudent to take a little bit more investment risk if you have the capital to do so. You're not alone on this journey. 7IM can help you. We have the people to talk to. If you prefer to use the technology, we have a wonderful award-winning app which will help you map out the various risks that you have to your retirement. We have the investment funds and the investment portfolios that produce expected returns, and that's important because in order to make your plan, you need to know what the expected returns are. So we're here to help. We can do it with the people, we can do it with the fund management, we can do it with the technology, and we'd be very, very pleased if we could help you out. Thanks for taking the time.